Hey look, I do programming and stuff sometimes. Java is a programming language, which basically means it's the thing that lets you talk to your computer better without having to type a bunch of zeros and ones. The cool thing about Java is that its code will work on any computer which has the stuff needed to run it, so you can write your code on your Mac laptop, then run it on your Windows computer, and there'll be no real issue except for the fact that you're using two different operating systems, which Java doesn't care about, but I do. Java is made up of words and symbols, much like about every other language to exist. There's some convention for naming your classes and variables and how that should look, but really it's for your own readability, so as long as you and the people you work with can read how you're coding, then you're probably fine. But a little piece of me would die inside if you decided to name something like this. Java also has these reserved words, which you aren't allowed to use as names for things, since it needs them for specific operations and stuff. Basically, you can't name something the same as something Java already has. Java is heavily based around the concept of object-oriented programming, which is programming that is oriented around objects. What a crazy idea! Objects have two important properties, state and behaviors. The state is what the object is, and the behaviors are what the object does. Objects are built from classes, which basically define what each instance of the object is. Like, say I have a class for an apple. I can keep making more and more instances of apples until the entire world is flooded with apples, since there's nothing stopping me except maybe the government at some point. Luckily, there's no government in Java, so we can make as many apples as we want. There's all these primitive data types. You can make variables and store things in them. Don't try to make a big one into a smaller one, it gets a little funky. Use if statements, they're your friends, and most of the interesting stuff in programming can't be done without them. You can put if statements inside other if statements, going down forever into infinity. Some say with enough statements, you may be able to attain if-lightenment. Use loops, they're like if statements, but they keep it coming back and coming back. Strings are funky, since you can do a lot of stuff to them in the default library, taking a phrase like, man, I love gaming, to I love in just a few lines of code. Why? Things in Java have different visibility, which is important to remember since if you can't see something, you can't use it, which is true in real life, too. Generally, you want to keep things private whenever possible, which in real life leads to a buildup of stress until you collapse under the pressure and have an emotional meltdown, but in Java leads to very clean code, so hey, that's good. Arrays! Wow, are they not fun to work with? Just use the list class, and 90% of the time you'll be fine unless you care about memory or something. Make sure to handle your exceptions so your code doesn't all fall apart when you least expect it. Who am I kidding? It'll do that anyway. Congratulations! You now know how to use Java. Go write the next Minecraft, and remember, you should probably learn how to actually use the language in a more long-form style if you want to actually do anything good, rather than watching a tiny comedy video on YouTube. Like the video, comment if you want more stuff in this style, subscribe if you want to see more, thanks to my patrons on Patreon, and I promise I'll have some better videos out next month.